Hello, everyone. Welcome to
Hello.
Witchfinger Horror Podcast. My name is Yasmina, and to my right is Morgan.
Hello.
To my left is Megan.
Hello.
And tonight we embark on Hellraiser 3.
Ooh.
Not 1, not 2, but 3.
3. A 1, a 2, a 3.
So we decided to do the third one because it's very silly in a very good way. I will admit that obviously the best Hellraiser movies are 1 and 2.
Oh,
clearly.
obviously. Number 1 is like...
It's phenomenal.
Perfect, but it's
a toss-up. Number 2 is so fucking good,
but
too.
they're serious.
Yeah.
Number 1 especially, serious. Super serious.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I don't think we'd fare so well with serious movies, so I understand the appeal of being the third one.
Well, this one was released in 92, so I really enjoy this one because I'm a big fan of the 80s, and it's not like the 80s like completely like ended, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in like 1990, so like all the scenes in the club melt my heart because it's just like all the outfits.
Yes.
And the decor, obviously the music. I'm a big fan of all of that. But this one is just, it's pretty funny. Like, it's along the same lines of cheesiness as a lot of other movies that we've done for the podcast. So that's why I decided to do the third one, because, like, the first two are phenomenal works of art that you obviously, like, cherish and appreciate and respect, but this one is definitely like more fun along the lines of like what we do on this podcast. So we're definitely going to talk about the first two and the other ones, the other sequels, but this one, it just like it resonates with me. I have the VHS and I watched it a lot when I was a little kid, and just even like all the characters, like all the gore, or even like the characters of the Cenobites are so
fucking ridiculous, like
fucking
the
CD
guy.
I love him.
What the hell?
I know, it's great.
Man.
I know, it's awesome.
Compact discs just
I
came
know.
out.
Compact discs. It's a good one for sure, but yeah, so it was released in 1992. It was directed by Anthony Hickox.
He's done some shit.
Yes,
He's
he
done
has
some
done.
shit.
He directed Waxwork 1 and 2, and he directed Warlock 2, Armageddon, which makes sense because Paula Marshall, the girl that plays Terry in Hellraiser 3, is also the lead female character in Warlock 2, and he also worked on the Motorhead video for the song Hellraiser.
Which is amazing, by the way.
Yes, it is, by the way.
The whole soundtrack of this movie is phenomenal.
It's actually awesome. It's all like kind of glam, heavy metal.
Yeah, there's like some Ozzy Osbourne shit that
Yeah.
happens in this movie,
There's
right?
like some KMFDM in there as
yeah.
well.
That is one band that I never got into, was KMFDM. I don't know why. I just like never got into them.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that I'm a huge fan or anything
But
like
if
that.
it's playing,
but I
I don't
appreciate
mind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But
Well-
apparently I saw that the soundtrack actually of this movie was actually supposed to be all those songs, and they didn't, I guess, fare well with audiences, audiences.
The thing is, I was going to say, we'll get into it later, but the thing is, this movie wasn't, for various reasons, production-wise and otherwise, this movie wasn't as big as I think that they were expecting it to be,
Totally.
and so the soundtrack wouldn't be as big following
Totally.
the demise of the movie. Did you see all the shit about Prince Valiant with Warwick Davis? He was directing this movie, Prince Valiant, with Warwick Davis in it.
Okay.
And apparently he just, like, fucking blew it. Like, this director just fucking blew it. He, like, wanted all his friends to have parts and, like, was just partying all the time. And, like, it was just supposed to be the worst movie ever, so I think we should watch it at some point.
Yes, definitely. Well, speaking about the Motorhead song, Hellraiser, it was written by Lemmy and Ozzy and Zakk Wylde, and it was actually an Ozzy song that was recorded for their No More Tears album, and then it was released as a single by Motorhead the following year for their album March or Die, and the video is hilarious.
It's
because
so
Lemmy
amazing. I
plays
watched it
poker
yesterday.
with Pinhead, and the video was directed by Clive Barker.
Well, I know, that's amazing.
Is it
Yeah.
Doug Bradley?
Yeah,
absolutely.
video?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a hilarious
It's like
video.
they're
cool.
in like a theater and like Motorhead is like playing on the stage like down and like they're up in the second tier and it's like Pinhead and all the Cenobites are like around him, and then there's like a guy that comes up like to watch the show and like sits in front of them, and then they all like get him and stuff, and then it's just like, you know, intercuts with like Lemmy playing and stuff, and then they play poker, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
And then Lemmy's like, the Ace of Spades! Just
and
kidding.
he wins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lemmy beats Pinhead at
Obviously.
poker.
Wait, does he really play that card?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just being funny. I didn't actually pay too much attention, but like that's the kind of cheese that we're dealing with. That's probably what happened.
That's awesome. Well, Hellraiser 3 is written by a couple dudes. The first guy, Peter Atkins, he also wrote Wishmaster and Hellraiser. No, sorry, he directed Wishmaster and Hellraiser 4. Or written. I may be wrong. I've had a couple glasses of wine. And he wrote the screenplay for Hellraiser, and Tony Randall is the other guy. And Tony Randall directed Hellraiser 2 and Ticks, which is like one of my favorite fucking 90s science fiction movies. I love Ticks so much. It's got like a young Seth Green and Alfonso Ribeiro in it.
Okay,
and like Alfonso
I know
Ribeiro's character in it is, they call me Panic because I don't.
Oh my god! We watched that clip!
Yeah, it's something like that. It's like, oh, they call me
something because I don't. I want to say Panic because I remember we watched that like on a loop when I was still living with you. I have like my eyes peeled for so many of the goofs. Like there was such a long list of goofs that happened in this movie, and I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there are. There is a goof in this
coming
one.
Up right now.
Okay, so we're at the scene at the hospital when Joey is like, she just finished wrapping up like reporting something on the news, and somebody is carried away with chains behind them, and she watches this man explode.
Right, yes.
But then apparently, like, after his head explodes, his head is intact again.
Yeah, he's cool, man. He's cool. That chick looked like Amy Winehouse.
Okay, so that is Paula Marshall. She's gorgeous.
Okay, so they're both pretty. Which one are you talking about?
The young one with the black hair.
Yeah,
dude, Seinfeld. She's in the Seinfeld episode where she is the reporter and thinks that they're gay.
That is the funniest fucking episode.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
When his phone, the call waiting connects the call.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that is a great fucking episode.
And then she remembers everything we said. Oh my god, what were we doing by?
He's like, well, I think she fell for it.
Yeah, she's also, like we discussed earlier, in the second Warlock movie, and she's doing very well, actually.
Paula Marshall?
She's
seemed
in
like
a lot of fucking TV shows.
Like CSI, House, Californication, she was in Nip
I love
Tuck.
that show.
Man, you know what I always wondered? How much do those bit parts, I mean, if you're going to be in, like, a guest star in House,
well, a guest star is different as a recurring role, though. If you have a recurring role, then you've landed a fucking spot-on contract, unless they kill your character off.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you could make a decent living doing it. It would be like the same as like being like maybe a session musician. You go in and you do like one song on an album, and they probably pay you, I don't know, for something like that. I don't know. Because
how many times did you and I talk about all the actors who started out on Seinfeld, and now you see them and they're huge now?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I digress.
So Tony Randall and Peter Atkins are the two writers, and Peter actually also plays the role of the bartender / Barbie Cenobite, which is funny that they called him Barbie.
I know, I think that's
because he's
strange.
got like barbed wire around his face. But
Barbie.
This movie has a 5.5 on IMDb and a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I disagree with because I think this movie is fun as hell. The budget was $5 million, and they made $12.5 million at the box office.
Which isn't bad.
No, they made more than double. And the first one to be filmed in the U.S., it was filmed in North Carolina because the first two were filmed in England. And I love all the scenes of the boiler room. I wish a bar like that was real in this day and age. Yeah. It was a furniture factory, apparently, that they rented.
That's cool.
Why do I feel like I read somewhere that some scenes were, in fact, filmed in Britain, though? Like, a few scenes were filmed at a different time?
The only scene that was, I think, of, like, the scene of Ashley Lawrence, when the recording of her
she's
talking
like,
about the box and everything. I think that's the only scene that was recorded in England.
Yeah, okay.
So Joey is entering the bar. There's like a fucking baby doll. Like
yeah, what the hell? This is like super goth.
I know, this is very 90s goth. It's amazing.
She's also like a foot taller than everyone else. And she was an elite model. So yeah, she was a model.
Yeah, she started out as a model. Terry Farrell is her name, who plays Joey. And she was a model when she was like 16, because she was like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
When she was 16 years old.
Yeah, best known for her Star Trek Deep Space Nine
I
role.
know! Yeah, she's a very like prominent character in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Commander Jadzia Dax.
Yep.
And as I was doing my research, I also discovered, I did not know, I'm a huge fan of Red Dwarf, that there was an American Red Dwarf, and it was like a failed pilot.
Yeah, and she
played the cat.
I know!
The second cat, though, because apparently the first guy that played the cat was, I don't know what happened, because I never watched it, but then she plays the second recurrence of, like, the cat. I know, which is, like, insane, and I was like, what the fuck? There was an American Red Dwarf?
Yeah.
But, like, no wonder it failed.
It was just one pilot.
Because the British one is just awesome.
It's perfect, yeah. It's too much fun. Also, the band that's playing in the boiler room in this scene, that's where she's walking through, is Armored Saint.
Yeah, Armored Saint. They're a great fucking band. They were an awesome 80s thrash metal band from LA, and I'm a big Anthrax fan, and John Bush was the singer of Armored Saint, and he replaced Joey Belladonna for a few years.
That's
and
cool.
the John Bush years of Anthrax are obviously not the greatest, but then Joey came back afterwards. So they're playing in the scene that we just watched of them playing in the boiler room. They're playing the song Hanging Judge. But if you guys really want to watch an awesome fucking heavy metal 80s video, watch the video for Can You Deliver by Armored Saint. There's like magic swords and shit.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Magic swords.
Yeah, it's
Right
awesome.
up my
It's
alley.
awesome. And fun fact, actually, in 1983, after Kill 'Em All was released, Lars Ulrich actually asked John Bush to sing for Metallica because James Hetfield wasn't confident in his singing abilities.
Really?
So they were actually going to just get a singer and be a 5-piece.
Oh.
And James was just going to play rhythm guitar.
Interesting.
I just want to throw my middle fingers up all over the place whenever I hear that man's name.
James Hetfield?
No,
Yeah.
Lars
Lars.
Ulrich.
Oh, no, you know what, though? No,
Go fuck yourself,
I
buddy.
disagree. Lars is not the weirdo in that band.
He's
It's
not
James.
weird. He's an asshole, though.
James is the asshole.
Well,
Trust
yeah.
me,
They
dude.
all got egomania, I feel like.
Kirk is cool. He's a big horror fan, actually. He's got
Kirk
a,
is
like
gorgeous.
and he's got like a massive fucking collection of horror
He's a
memorabilia.
sexy,
But
sexy
James
piece.
Hetfield, oh my god, he's a whiny little bitch. I'm sorry. Like he just like I know they're on tour right now, and like I just watched a video of him like fucking losing his shit.
yeah, I
at
saw
his
that,
tech,
yeah.
and like
What?
kicked.
It was
he
t-
kicked his
The
acoustic
guitar was tuned
over
in the wrong. It was in the wrong tuning, in the wrong key. it was
So
tuned,
that
and so when
happens sometimes.
he
and
went,
he kicked it.
he got up and he started playing, and it was obviously just sounded terrible. So he was really mad, and he yelled at the guy on stage and stuff. And
Yeah, like in the middle of a show.
What a
Anyways.
princess. What a fancy
Oh, dude,
princess
he's a
he
fucking
is.
princess.
Oh,
He's a
my.
queen.
Dainty lady.
Yeah.
Anyways.
dainty lady.
Oh, what a fancy girl.
What are you guys drinking? I'm drinking white wine.
Oof.
The magic wine.
Yeah, it is magic. Me
It
and
is.
Morgan discovered a white wine that gives you no hangovers.
Yeah.
It's real, dude.
Okay.
It's
Bro,
true.
it's real.
I've drinking.
Whatever.
I drank a whole bottle.
Bro.
It's real, bro.
It's real.
It's real, bro.
That's how real it is. I called you bro. It's awesome. It's open.
That's legit.
Yes.
What is it? Dry
It's
white?
smooth white.
Smooth white. Smooth white. Seriously, if you're a wine drinker and you hate hangovers, fucking drink this stuff. I drank a whole bottle one night. Wasn't hungover the next day. It's amazing.
Anytime.
Oh, I just had a sip. That's actually really good.
It's nice, right?
Yeah.
Really good. Oh, and I am drinking crisp apple shock top.
Delicious.
It is fucking good. And I'm pretty sure it has more alcohol than the rest. Oh, 5.2.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
It's that 0.2 that'll get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. And I'm drinking Belgian
flying
Moon,
high.
which is the Canadian version of Blue Moon.
It's so good. You
Obviously,
don't like it?
No, I do like it.
Is it the same brew, though?
It is. Blue Moon and Belgian Moon are exactly the same,
The
except
wheat, eh?
we can't call it Blue Moon in Canada because Labatt owns all of the word
right.
blue for beer.
Really?
Like Gene Simmons owns the
Yeah.
fucking dollar signs or whatever.
Well, I heard Gene Simmons is trying to, what is that, copyright the horns?
Yep.
So-
The
Guess
metal
what,
horns.
my friend? That's
Ronnie
not gonna
James
happen.
Dio is spinning in his grave.
Yeah. He just wants to own air. He just wants to own everything.
Like, how rich must he be?
Like,
He's obviously not
does
rich
he
enough.
need any more?
That's what I'm saying. How
I know.
greedy can one person be? He's like the Donald Trump of fucking hair metal.
Oh, he is. You're so correct.
That is great.
That is perfect.
Let's
Kinda
make
take it
Kiss
back
great
for a
again.
I take it back. His
That's
hair is
amazing.
just as bad.
It
too.
is.
I know.
Just
He's
as
a
bad.
goblin, man.
He's a fucking
He's
goblin.
a goblin. Whatever. I still love Kiss and I love Paul Stanley.
I'd rather him be running the country.
Paul Stanley?
No, I mean...
Because that would be amazing.
Can you imagine if he was
Oh
like,
my god.
"Oh, you're president!"
No! Politics! Yeah! Yeah! Jason Folger's coffee! The best part of waking up is Paul Stanley in your cup!
And then he fucking waves his hand and he disappears.
If you guys haven't seen the Paul Stanley Folgers commercial, you probably should.
This can't be the first time you brought it up on the podcast. I refuse
Just in case.
to... Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in
Look
case.
it up. Look it up. It's very important. It never aired because apparently it was too cheesy and ridiculous. But you'll see what we're talking about.
You know who this broad reminds me of? This black-haired broad in the...
Paula
in the-
Marshall.
Okay. She
Carrie.
reminds me of... Do you remember the character in Death Becomes Her? The woman who actually has the vial and presents
Yeah.
it to them? That gorgeous dark-haired beauty with that accent. and
That's
that magic
Isabella Rossellini.
Oh, fuck,
she
she's
dated David Lynch
way too
because
hot.
she was in Blue Velvet.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
movie where you see Kyle MacLachlan's penis.
That movie fucked me up.
I know, I love that.
really
I made
fucked me
Megan
up.
watch Blue Velvet, and it was like
Oh, it's so
incredible
weird.
just to see your
Yeah.
reaction. Like you were like genuinely uncomfortable.
Like I was, yeah, it really,
Yeah.
like,
I love that
disturbs
movie
me a
so
bit.
much. Dennis Hopper is the man.
No, that's the part.
Let's fuck, fuckers! I love Dennis
It's
Hopper so
so
much.
creepy.
I was like very upset when he passed away. He's great.
That scene is fucking is too much.
I don't even really want to talk about it because, like, to be perfectly honest, you guys are not the first people I'm telling. Ever since I've got back from Europe, I am genuinely afraid of the dark. And
what did Europe do to you?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because I slept with my best friend every night and then I got home and didn't have someone's company.
Yeah.
Or what? But I am fucking afraid of the dark. I sleep with my lamp, not a nightlight, my lamp, a full-blown lamp on. So
Weird.
now I'm like, let's keep it fucking PG because I gotta go home at some point. And like, I'm not kidding you. I'm terrified.
Oh, is that an alien? That looks
Yeah,
like
the Pillar of Soul. So JP Monroe, the owner of the Boiler Room, recently purchased the statue that Pinhead is in, and it's called the Pillar of Souls. And at the end of part 2, Dr. Chenard kills Pinhead, causing him to be split into 2 entities. And one is his former self as Captain Elliot Spencer, who is stuck in limbo, and the other as Pinhead, who is stuck in the Pillar of Souls with the box. So we're at the scene where JP sticks his hand in the hole and a rat bites him, and I believe that's another continuity error because the rat bite leaves like an impression, obviously, like gaping hole in his hand, and like the next scene apparently his hand has like no scar or anything in it. But the blood that he flails on the statue brings part of Pinhead back to life.
Just his face.
Just his face. Just his head. And I was reading today about Doug Bradley stating that the most uncomfortable makeup for Pinhead was for this movie because the scenes of him in the statue were so uncomfortable for him.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, like, you have to stand
in
perfectly
this, like,
still.
block.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
that
his
would
face
suck.
would have to have the makeup. But apparently he actually got so good at applying his own makeup that he actually ended up with his own makeup credit.
Yeah, he
in some
used
of
his
the
middle
movies.
name.
Yeah.
Bill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he used his middle name for that credit.
Yeah, which I think is kind of cool. But I don't know, I think because I did read as well that they kind of almost simplified his makeup more for this one. So a lot of fans of the first 2 movies are kind of think it doesn't look quite as good. But
Which
the
is
simplicity
interesting,
made
how do you simplify that makeup? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really is just a white face with some pins in it and the
Yeah.
lines. But they
I
managed
think it's
to
just like,
simplify it and even make it look different.
The application was like,
but if fans are
more
noticing,
simple.
like Morgan said, fans notice the change in makeup.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't
what the
notice.
fuck?
It
Maybe
doesn't
the
look
shade,
quite
maybe
as-
his jawbones aren't as like. Black
It looks,
blotched
yeah,
or
it looks
something.
more like his head just looks more round. I don't know. It just doesn't look as quite as defined. I don't know.
Well, there is a way to fuck up the makeup, as we've seen in like some prototypes.
Yeah.
Or like not the one we're going to talk about that's coming out, but the last one that came out and it wasn't Doug Bradley.
Oh my god. Okay, we're just going to save that for later.
We gotta stop.
We're going to wait until we're like a couple drinks in for that.
I do like, however, the end of the second one, like you were saying, it ends with him splitting personalities, and then this one picks up on that. Whereas, like, a lot of movies in the early 90s...
Yeah, when they, like, actually, like, follow an order.
Yeah. They'll just end a movie with, like, Jason dying, for example, and then start it with a shitty reason for him to come back.
And then ignore all of the things that happened.
See, but that actually started happening with the Hellraiser movies in... I believe part 5. That's when they started like just like ignoring what happened the movie before and then just like created their own new thing.
But I think that there was a certain point though that like obviously originally Clive Barker was involved in the first few movies, but then once he got away from that, like he was probably driving the mythology behind all of these movies, right? Because he was the one that wrote all the characters and the stories and all of the ideas that sort of go into the story. But then once he sort of got away from that, I'm sure it was just like, well, what weird stuff can we make Pinhead do now? You know, like, and they didn't really have the continuity of the story and the mythology behind it. They just kept making up ridiculous scenarios for new movies.
Things.
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to mention something about Terry Farrell, the woman that plays Joey. In 2001, an asteroid was named after her.
Why?
Why?
Just because she's in Deep Space Nine, I'm assuming.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought that was pretty fucking cool.
Some nerd, like, at NASA's like, she's such a bitch. I'm gonna name this asteroid after her.
I got nerd boner.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
Well, the original script for Hellraiser 3 didn't have the Barbie and CD Cenobites, and the ending was actually different. The ending was supposed to be Joey making a deal with Pinhead to be his bride in return for a successful life.
I'm sorry, who was going to be whose bride?
Joey, the main girl, because she's a reporter and was obviously like she's struggling in life and like isn't getting like good top stories. So at the end of the movie, apparently she made a deal with Pinhead to be his bride in exchange for having like a successful life in the media and all that. But then they changed it and then they included the Barbie and like CD Cenobites, which I'm very happy for because I'm sorry, I love the DJ fucking Cenobite. I think it's hilarious.
It's pretty cheesy. It's pretty cheesy.
So funny. Oh, we're at another scene at the boiler room right now, and JP Monroe is fucking sharking around.
Yeah,
creeping on girls.
Being a creep.
Yeah, he finds this like blonde babe. I like how he just like points at the bartender and like he's like, that girl.
Yeah, that's Peter Atkins.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, man, I got this. You want to fuck her?
That's right.
Put something
in her drink when she comes up.
No, he doesn't have a cooler full of roses.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This guy's a pimp,
It's
man.
like the fucking Bachelor.
Which proves never trust a club owner.
Yeah, no shit.
That is basically like what you learn from this movie. Don't trust a club owner. I want to talk about this guy.
Kevin Bernhardt?
Kevin Bernhardt. Okay, the guy who plays JP Monroe. I think that his character is my favorite character in this movie.
Yeah?
Because he's such like a fucking stereotypical womanizer.
Jabroni motherfucker.
He's a fucking jabroni motherfucker, man. Like, it just like, I own this club, I'm top shit. And the part where he like fucking like flexes his arms and she's like yelling at him and he's like kissing his biceps. Like,
yep, and he's obviously got like
fucking amazing.
He's got like a bedroom at the top of the fucking club where he can fuck chicks.
And like I love that he's fucking her and smoking at the same
time.
Like, what a jabroni, man.
My God. And
I
look
wonder
at all the
if he ever has a cigarette not in his mouth, because what I was going to say, even in the club, was that he always, in every scene, has had a cigarette hanging out of his fucking mouth.
And apparently, this actress that plays the blonde bimbo or whatever, didn't want her tits to be shown.
Yes.
So that's why he has his hands on her.
So he has his hands on her like the entire time.
Yeah.
But like, I just think it's hilarious.
Like really vigorously grabbing her boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, this guy is like such a douchebag. It's like he just sells it so well, though. And
no, he didn't just.
He's
no,
like,
he's coming!
In the stigmata pose. Oh my god! Well, he's actually actually also a screenwriter and a
Yep.
producer in LA right now, and he co-produced the newest Rambo movie.
Yep, he sure did.
Which was awesome.
Whoa,
The
no
part where
way.
fucking Rambo pulls that guy's throat out with his hands. It's awesome. He's a very major character in General Hospital.
Yep.
I looked up some photos, and it was very glamorous looking. And it was also in Dynasty.
He seems to be like the king of soap opera dramas.
Yeah, in the 80s, for sure, definitely.
What did you say, General Hospital? So
Yeah,
he
General
was
Hospital.
off.
This is a fun fact about him. This is a quote, kind of, from him. But he has a master's degree in economics, and apparently he still can't figure out why either. He just has a master's degree in economics and just decided to become an actor.
Oh, he doesn't know why.
Yeah.
I literally, in my brain, thought he was trying to solve for why. He doesn't know why.
Like he's just
a
like,
math
yeah,
equation.
I have a
Yeah.
master's
Never mind.
degree
I don't
in
know
economics.
why.
Yeah, I thought he was trying to solve for why.
Oh man. I actually have an interesting tidbit of information about Kevin Bernhard as well. He was married to Apollonia for 10 years. Apollonia is Prince's protege and also
Fuck yeah,
the girl
man.
that was in Purple Rain, the
Yeah.
like, lead actress.
Does she
That's
have,
awesome.
like, another name? Or just one name, like Madonna?
It's Apollonia, and then I don't know her. I don't remember her last name.
What a
But
great name.
yeah.
Purple rain, purple rain. You know what? I was actually just like watching the other day Prince's performance at the Super Bowl. Have you ever seen that? He
Is
actually
it the one where he has the shadow
played-
of the guitar and it's like his
No.
erect penis?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but
At the Super Bowl?
when he played the Super Bowl and it was raining and it was like incredible.
And he played Purple Rain in the Rain?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
What?
is that not the
Bitch is gonna die.
Is that not the performance where he was standing at the beginning in front of a white screen and there was like a shadow and the way he's holding his guitar it looks like a dick?
Oh, well.
That's
Of course you would assume that.
Yeah, like, no,
Yeah,
that's
she
exactly
gets it
what
way- No, but
exactly what she's
that's a
saying.
very great performance. Okay, so we're at the part where the bimbo is being killed by
Oh, yeah,
Pinhead
being
and she gets
skinned.
skinned.
Oh.
So this part where she actually just gets skinned by Pinhead in the statue, that Clive Barker was responsible for.
Yeah.
Duh.
Also, that is some
Holy.
terrible CGI right there.
Yeah.
Of course he would be responsible
90s
for
CGI
that.
was pretty awful.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that is quite a gory scene.
That was awesome.
Mm-hmm. You know, I can't lie, when that scene just happened and you saw the close-ups of his makeup, you could see, like, his skin tone kind of underneath. I don't know, the application just didn't look right.
Yeah,
It
they
looked a little
rushed
cheesy.
it.
It seemed like they did rush it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not supposed to be like his face, right? It's still supposed to be the same color as the rest of the post, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So there was some, like, flesh color underneath.
They probably,
Yeah.
like, disregarded touch-ups. Also, okay, this part where he says Jesus Christ, and he says not quite. Didn't your band, Kitty, you guys use
Yeah.
that in an intro one time?
We did, actually. The very first...
I totally fucking
Yeah.
remember that.
The very first intro that we ever had, the first couple Hellraiser movies, and this one as well, like, we watched a lot, but the very first intro that we ever created for, like, going out on stage or whatever, we're like, we need a good intro after we went out with Slipknot, and they had, like, this crazy intro with clips from Gummo and stuff. We're like, we need something cool like that. So we went into the
Gummo.
studio. It's all Hellraiser stuff. So we did the Jesus Christ Not Quite, and we had the, we have such sights to show.
I totally remember that. I remember, like,
looped over and over again with, like, screams and weird
yeah,
music. And,
I
like,
remember when you guys, like, finally, like, put it together. Your dad used to, like, blast it in the house, like, randomly. Like, I would just come over and be like, hey, Yasmina, check this out. Hit play, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, not quite. Like, it was insane. It was awesome.
That's fun. I wish I had a copy of that, actually. I honestly don't think I do.
Oh my.
JP shooting at Pinhead, and then he spits the bullets out.
Oh, so cheesy.
Oh, I don't
I
like
love that, like, you
that.
see, like, when he spits the
pink
bullet.
lips.
I know, like, when he spits the bullets out. Like, I wish they put more paint on, like, the inside of his mouth.
Oh my.
Yeah, and his fucking, like, jabroni underwear
What the
here.
hell?
Oh, he's sad.
This guy is such a fucking douchebag. It's awesome.
He's just sad because he took his girlfriend away and skinned her.
His girlfriend.
Absorbed her into his tiller of souls.
Well, Tony Randall, one of the two writers, was actually supposed to direct this movie, but Miramax didn't think that he had enough experience, so they actually asked Peter Jackson to direct
I
this
saw
movie.
that too. That's so interesting.
That would have made it completely different.
I think about this often.
Mm-hmm.
A screenplay is written. The movie is written, everything, storyboards are made. a director comes in. How would the director, I mean, I get what a director does, I'm not a fucking idiot, but how would Peter Jackson, defending myself to the internet, I know what a director does, but like, the screenplay's already written. So how much different could it have been, though? Do you know what I mean? Because in the screenplay it says, enters from left. And, you know...
They can make changes, though. Like, it all depends on, like, the view, I guess, of, like, what they want the movie to look like.
Yeah.
Hollywood is weird, like, how if they see the types of movies that a director has done before, like, they're gonna expect that from them, right?
Yeah.
So, quite obvious that Peter Jackson, multi-talented, like, he did Dead Alive,
Right.
and he also did all the Lord of the Rings, like, super funny and gory, super fucking serious, and, like, one of the, like, highest grossing movies ever.
Yeah.
So... I think a lot of times they would hire people based on the merits of other movies and how successful they were beforehand, right?
Yeah.
So obviously Peter Jackson at the time
And this was
known
before
for horror.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. So, I mean, maybe they were like, well, this guy can do gore, but most of the movies that he did at this time were pretty...
cheesy.
They're funny.
Silly, right?
Yeah.
Silly, yeah.
Hellraiser was kind of a serious...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Serious.
so
Well-
maybe that's why Clive Barker kind of put the kibosh on that, though.
Well,
because-
even actually, Peter Jackson couldn't do it. But then when Anthony Hickox got the job, Clive Barker actually wasn't happy about it because he also has a history of making like horror comedies.
Yeah.
And he wanted
yeah.
it to be serious, like the first two. So Clive Barker initially declined an offer to be the executive producer. But then he came in afterwards when they were finished shooting, and he fixed some things and he added some things. Like, so he added the Joey's bondage scene when she's tied up.
Yeah.
And the CGI when Lee's character like was skinned that we just saw, and some gore in the nightclub massacre scene. So after that happened, they were able to put like that stamp that like Clive Barker presents, like
Right.
Hellraiser 3.
Yeah,
blah,
because
blah,
then
blah.
it's
So
a huge
his
selling
name,
point.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
his name is on it, and then like at the time he was actually suffering a little bit because Nightbreed had just been
yeah.
released, and Nightbreed,
that was
like
such
those
a
fucking I think
idiot
it was it Morgan's
move.
Creek or whatever that like released Nightbreed. They completely fucked up the
It wasn't Morgan's
for
Creek,
that.
it was
was,
Fox.
film
wasn't
It was
feature.
Fox.
20th Century
They
Fox.
fucked up
Fox.
the release of Nightbreed so badly, which like caused a decline in like
film
the,
features, that's what it did.
yeah, like in the box office sales, because like
Yeah.
just because you did Hellraiser, they just assumed that it was going to be another horror movie, and they marketed it like a fucking woman in danger,
Yeah.
and doesn't know what her boyfriend's hiding, blah blah blah. But it's not about that at all. It's actually kind of like a drama when you think about it. So when Nightbreed was released, and then Hellraiser 3 was released, like kind of like near the same time, like afterward, Clive Barker like was just like, that's when he started like distancing himself like away from
because
the
Cabal
Hellraiser. Like,
is like the best,
oh, I love that book.
the best book of all time.
I love that book.
That's my favorite
so much.
Clive Barker book, but that's
Yeah.
what Nightbreed was based on.
Yeah.
And so like they took this great book and made a great film. I
It's a
love
great
Nightbreed.
Yeah,
fucking
but,
movie.
I
I love
they,
that
they
movie.
misrepresented
But-
what the movie was.
but, that's right.
From what I read,
That's right.
they
said it was a slasher.
Yeah, they
It's
were like,
not.
it's a
Yeah,
slasher
no, it's
movie,
not.
and it's not. It's
Although it opens with a slasher because the doctor who wears the mask with the
Yeah.
sideways
But the way
smile,
that they,
he's
like-
a slasher.
Yeah, the way that they
Yeah. They
promoted
advertised
it.
that it was like a
I have one of the original like posters
I love
from
that
when
poster.
they were advertising
Isn't it
it.
oversized?
It's
Isn't it
like
oversized
and the
poster?
slogan is like ridiculous.
Yeah,
on
like
it,
it's like Laurie's in trouble. She doesn't know what's going on with her boyfriend, and it has nothing to do with that,
Yeah.
like at all.
And so as a result, it underperformed at the box office then, and it caused Film Futures to actually go out of business. So then, obviously, that of course he's gonna want to kind of distance himself from certain things that he's
because like
attached
Nightbreed
to.
was released in 1990, and then Hellraiser 3 was released in 1992. So they figured from like the like low reception that they got from Nightbreed that like Hellraiser 3 wasn't going to do so well. But it's actually one of like the like second highest box office like releases like out of the Hellraiser series.
Yeah,
Which kind of makes sense because the early 90s was like the start of the multiple
like sequels
Yeah.
and shit.
right? So we were like, oh, a third one? This one's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it is.
This movie, though, it seemed like there was a lot of, like, original development, like, and rights production issues with it. The original company went out of business, and then when New World's, bankruptcy troubles happened, like, it went into development hell, apparently. Like, former New World executives established Transatlantic Pictures, and then the rights were transferred to them. So it was supposed to be released at a different time, and then it it didn't end up being released, and I don't know, it just sounds like pre-production and post-production, it was like a really shitty experience.
It was like a nightmare.
Yeah, like the studio wanted a cheap and nasty film, apparently, quote unquote.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah,
just
I
wanted
read
to
that.
pump it out.
Well, I think
and
that
it
they
didn't
also
matter.
got, like, slaughtered by the MPAA as well. Like,
Yeah.
there was, like, multiple cuts of this movie as well.
Oh, that's
Even
annoying.
the poster I read, like the original Hellraiser
Yeah.
3 poster had like the photo of the original one
Was,
sheet
like,
was
Pinhead.
a side profile of Pinhead like with his mouth open, like screaming on a background, and the MPAA were like, this is too
Graphic.
graphic and terrifying, so change it. And then they actually ended up taking the original one sheet photo from the first movie and superimposing it onto a new
Yeah.
background, and then
How is that even? Anyway.
it's exactly the same poster. And so then the MPAA were like, they basically did it because they couldn't say anything, because they were like, well, this one already went out for the first movie, so obviously it flew that time, it has to go this way.
Yeah.
It just seems really weird though. Like, Pinhead's not, he's not scary.
Some people are
The
terrified.
90s.
It sucks me.
Okay, so we're at the scene where JP is, like, trying to lure Terry, and she's all like, I don't know. I love my hoop belt. I was like, actually, the other day, me and Morgan, we went thrifting, and I was like, that would be amazing to find one of those, like, giant, like, loop belts from the 90s.
Like that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, those were huge in the 90s.
Yeah. Literally huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty big. Look at that background, eh?
I know, eh? A fucking green screen
Yeah.
terribleness.
I thought it was interesting because apparently, I watched an interview with Anthony Hickox, and apparently his father, Douglas Hickox,
Yeah.
was also
And
a director.
his brother was an editor.
Oh,
Or no,
okay. I didn't know about his brother, but I knew
his mom was an editor.
that's cool. So it's like a movie family.
Yes.
But yeah, his father directed Theater of Blood with Vincent Price and Diana Rigg, who actually is
That's a
Lady
good one.
Olena
That
on
movie
Game
has
of
so much
Thrones.
funk in it. It's great.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Funk music.
Yeah.
Music.
So yeah, he worked with Vincent Price, and his father also directed Blackout. Do you know that movie?
I do not.
You would know the cover. It's just like it's like I think a TV horror movie with a guy in a leather daddy mask, like a
I'm
gimp
gonna look
mask.
it up.
You've seen it before. You would know it.
It's
yeah.
from 1985. Oh, of
Yeah.
course, I remember that
Yeah.
fucking gimp mask.
I know, exactly. So yeah, he directed Blackout as well. So
Okay,
he's-
I
yeah.
have to add that to my
Oh,
list of
and-
movies to watch.
It looks amazing.
And his mom edited. She won an award for editing Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh wow!
So
that
their
is
family,
a phenomenal movie.
his
yeah.
family is like crazy talented.
Super ingrained in old Hollywood. That's
She
really
also
cool.
edited The Elephant Man.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good
John
movie.
Barry, man.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the only normal David Lynch movie. Well, I mean, like
Yeah,
normal
I remember
for him.
I messaged you and asked you about it because I
Yeah.
rented it and I wanted some background.
It's,
I'm
it's so
not
sad.
an animal.
I
Why are they
know,
crying?
it's
Why are
so
they crying?
sad.
Yeah.
And they fucking.
Why are these two crying?
Well, she's all like,
they acting?
I'm sad. And he's like, just come over here and feed my statue.
Yeah.
I always, like, when I see that actress, Paula Marshall, I just think of Seinfeld. It's like all I can think about.
Don't no.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
You dumb idiot.
Oh my God, look at her
shoes were
outfit.
amazing.
I know.
I can't
Yeah, she
even.
kind of, like, at the beginning of the movie, like, started out, like, looking kind of goth.
Yeah, but now she.
And now
doesn't
she's,
look
like,
very
a
goth.
weird hippie.
Yeah.
Fuck you, hippie.
Well, apparently, actually, for the scenes in the nightclub, the casting call actually asked for people to dress in 60s and 70s clothing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah. No. I just feel like her knees right there. She could have clobbered him right in the
Yeah.
fucking. What else?
But this part's great,
the
though.
Mummy and Daddy button.
Because she grabs the brass knuckles, punches him out like a sucker.
Where'd she have those?
In her pocket.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, those will get you.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't look very comfortable standing in there.
Yeah, that definitely looks like it would suck.
Yeah, some of the shooting days apparently were like 17 hours long for Doug Bradley because they wanted to shoot in such a short amount of time. So I
Yeah.
can understand why it was so uncomfortable.
I think they
that's
had, like-
a long day.
What did I read? Like 6 weeks?
Yeah.
A 6-week shoot or something like that?
Yeah, and Anthony Hickox, I guess his style is just kind of a little bit different than what a lot of the other productions were like, and what some of the actors that were in the other movies were used to. So a lot of work, pretty long.
I always thought that she was really pretty, though, when I was watching this movie, like, when I was younger. Paula Marshall.
Her lips are great.
Yeah, I love her, just, like, the black hair. Well, I think it's time to talk about Doug Bradley.
Okay.
Okay! So, fun fact, he is one of only 6 actors who have played the same horror character at least 6 consecutive times. The other actors involved in this list are Robert Englund, playing Freddy in, like, every fucking movie.
Yep.
Christopher Lee, playing Dracula. Warwick Davis, playing
The Leprechaun. In space.
We should fucking do Leprechaun in space.
God.
That's a great...
Or, like, In the Hood is
movie.
pretty fucking funny.
They're good.
Yeah. Brad Dourif, who voices Chucky.
Yeah.
And Tobin Bell, that old man that does Saw. What's his name? Jigsaw.
Oh my
Jigsaw.
god, I love those movies
Right.
too.
So, yeah. Out of all horror movies, like, ever made, that's pretty crazy that there's only 6 actors who actually have played the same role in, like, 6 consecutive films.
Yeah, and have made it iconic, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
Because it's generally the actors who bail out after a while. It's not like the directors who want different actors. It's generally the actors who are like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So good for them for sticking with it.
for some of these guys, though, it's like, you know what? Like, Doug Bradley's face, like, it has a certain characteristic to it that's super creepy. Like, if you're, like, a mask guy, like you're playing Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, you could put a mask on
you
anybody,
could put a mask on
right?
anybody.
Yeah.
But those, like, his face and, like, Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, like, those are iconic faces.
That's
and if you put that same makeup on a different actor, it's not the same.
Which is what we will discuss when we talk about the sequels.
When it gets really bad.
I know. Then we're going to get real. Doug Bradley has also done, obviously, me and Morgan know this, narration voiceovers for many of Cradle of Filth songs.
How did they get him to do that?
They're friends.
buds,
They're
apparently,
both
yeah.
from, like, the UK.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they're buddies. And he also voices the Sith Emperor for a Star Wars game.
That's cool.
The Old Republic game. So Doug Bradley also wrote a book called Sacred Masks, Behind the Mask of the Horror Actor.
Which is super cool.
I haven't read it, but I would love to read it. He is a known atheist.
Yay!
I will applaud that.
Heel.
Him and Clive Barker went to high school together.
Isn't that interesting?
Adorable. And Pinhead was his first role in a feature-length film, because before Hellraiser, he had only been acting in a couple shorts. He also plays, obviously, Dirk, the leader in Nightbreed,
Yeah.
which is amazing. I fucking love Nightbreed so much. And he was also in one of the direct-to-video Pumpkinhead movies.
Ashes to Ashes.
Oh,
Ashes.
yeah.
One day I will watch them. One day I will sit down and watch, like, the direct-to-video Pumpkinhead sequels.
Pumpkinhead Fest. And
Yeah,
just
because,
watch
like,
them
I
all.
even like the second one, like Blood
I like
Wings.
the second one a
Yeah,
lot.
like, I like it a lot. It has a lot of, like, horror, like, notable actors in it. But the third and fourth one were, like, direct-to-video, like, fucking sci-fi
sci-fi movie
bullshit.
kind of.
Yeah.
So, and he was also in Wrong Turn 5.
No way!
I think I watched it. I can't remember.
I never did,
To be
no.
honest, all the Wrong Turn movies, like, all the sequels, like, generally just kind of, like, feel, like, the same.
Yeah.
It's all
But the
just
first
one
one-
of the same movie.
I do love the first Wrong Turn, though. I do love the first one.
Oh,
The first one is
I
awesome.
think the first and second one are both great.
I don't even remember, honestly, like, the
I
second
like
one
them.
at all. But I love the first Wrong Turn. Like, I love the gore in that movie. But something which is amazing about Doug Bradley recently, he played Pinhead again for the Mad Monster Party
Which
in
is
Arizona.
super,
that just
super
happened
awesome, yes.
a couple months ago. It's pretty fucking cool. So a team of special effects artists, like, led by Tom Savini, your boyfriend, Megan, and they put the makeup on him and everything, and it was like a haunted house, like, ride. Like, so you don't, like, you pay for the experience, and it's not just the photo op, but you, like, go into,
It was
like
like
a set.
the Pinhead experience.
Yeah, And the one day, I think it
creepy.
was like a 3-day festival, like expo thing, and like the Saturday tickets like sold out in like one day.
Yeah, no shit.
And so basically, like, you go into this, like, it's kind of like set up like a haunted house, and like he comes out at you like dressed as Pinhead. Like, that would be fucking
so
unreal.
scary.
Like,
How
that
would
would
you,
be
like,
so fucking cool.
Stop yourself from just talking to him.
I would just
Like-
be like, ah, I love you. Like, that is so fucking cool that he did that. And he actually also said that he would do it again.
Oh, he loved it.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I heard
he had
that-
so much fun.
I heard that he was like, this is going to be the last time you'll ever see me in this Pinhead makeup. But then he had so much fun that he was like, fuck it.
Oh, I'm
I'll do
happy
it
for
again.
him.
That would be awesome to fucking experience that. That would be so cool. Like, the fact that he just even, like, volunteered for something like that is just, like, so lovable. Like, because they have those, like, Halloween Horror Nights in LA, and they had, like, a Friday 13th one. There was, like, a Halloween one. Last year, I think, was, like, American Horror Story or something. Like, I'm not even sure. But, like, the fact that the original Pinhead took part in it is
really
just,
cool.
like, it's so adorable.
And the fact that he wanted to go above and beyond for the fans of the movie as well, because it's like, oh, you could just like take your picture with him, like just like sitting there in his t-shirt, or
Yeah.
whatever, like boring, or like him dressed up in the makeup, like boring. It's like, I want to give you a fucking creepy ass experience that you're never gonna forget.
And that's really interesting because I've heard from friends of ours, all three of us, that he is not a nice man and fuck him.
Who, Doug Bradley?
Yeah.
I met him. I thought he was really nice.
Well, I think his fees
Right.
for his convention fees
Really?
are astronomical.
When I met him at Fan Expo, and like I think it was only like $40 to get like
Really?
an autograph and a picture.
That's, like, super
and like his
reasonable.
girlfriend, a smoking hot girlfriend who's like my age,
like a third of his age.
I know,
Grr.
she's so gorgeous. Like, so she's like my age or maybe a couple years older. Like, good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I met him and he was
I'm
super
happy
nice.
to hear that. I'm really happy to hear
Yeah, I was very happy to meet him. He was a very lovely man. I was just like, I love you, and he was like, oh, thank you very much. Like,
that.
very
In his
British,
proper
you
British
know,
accent.
Very British. Going to go have some tea and crumpets.
Ah, yes. Crumpets. So delicious. Sorry.
I do not care for crumpets.
Oh, they're so good. I love them.
No. You're like, I disown you as my friend.
Wow.
All right, well, let's talk about Clive Barker.
Yeah, let's do
All right, so Clive Barker, very respectable man in the history of horror. I have
One of the
books
icons, for sure.
Cabal is definitely one of my favorite books. The Books of Blood,
Yeah.
incredible. The Hellbound Heart, which is what Hellraiser is based on. His most recent book, The Scarlet Gospels, was awesome.
Yeah.
I lent it to Morgan. That book is
I really
fucked.
liked it.
Like, if they made a movie based off the Scarlet Gospels, it would definitely get like an X rating. It's fucked.
It was
I think
pretty.
they were-
It was
they were-
pretty graphic.
Oh, I'm very
It's
excited to read
awesome.
that.
It's so good. If you guys haven't read it and you're a fan of Clive Barker or like horror novels, fucking read the Scarlet Gospels. Even like the first chapter was like fucking monsters with giant boners and like having to suck
Yeah.
them off. It was crazy. But like all the scenes that like took place in hell would be incredible to see in a movie. That book was fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's very good at describing, like if you've seen the movies and then you go and read the book after the fact, you like understand what they're trying to do, but there's no way that any movie could ever capture
Of course.
the way that it's described. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it gives you a bit of a new appreciation for
He's such a
the
good
series,
author.
yeah.
Like his just the way that he describes experiences and characters, it's so raw.
Yeah.
And like it's like imagine like your worst nightmare, like that's what he can write.
I'm a huge fan, and I fucking lost it when I was living with you, and I'm very upset. But I am a huge, I have a extensive collection of children's books, and he wrote The Thief of Always. Which-
Yeah, I haven't read that one.
What?
I know.
If I still fucking had it, I would lend it to you. So anyways, it is one of the best children's graphic novels that I've ever read. It's so fucking interesting and creepy, but like still kid friendly. But anyways, they're supposedly making that into a feature film of some sort.
Are you
Interesting.
talking about these other children's, like, kind of like teen oriented books? Like, is it Abarat or something?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, but no, this is
Abarat.
completely different.
Oh, okay, because sorry, he also wrote Abarat, which is another like story primarily focused towards like the young adults.
Yeah.
But I never read that one. One day I'll read a Magica. It's like fucking 2,000 fucking
so
pages.
massive.
One day I'll read it. I'm a huge fan of the comic books, like Tapping the Vein.
Oh.
I have Tapping the Vein, the comic book. But you know what I actually never knew? I did not know that he wrote the story, which is like what Candyman is based on.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and
Because I'm sorry to say this, but like I was never a huge Candyman
fuck
fan.
no.
I don't know.
As
But
the
now
movie
that you
I
know
just,
that,
like,
can't you see how the character would be something Clive Barker would come up with? Like a body full of bees
Ton
with
of
a hook
Todd.
for a hand? Like,
yeah.
come on. That's such like a...
I just like, I don't know why, when I was a kid, when Candyman like first came out, and it was the nostalgic, like, Bloody Mary, like, if you look in the mirror,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
blah, 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 and say the name over and over. That part, what resonated with me as a child, but, like, when I actually watched Candyman, I was like, this is kind of more like just like a thriller. It's not really like a horror movie.
I never,
But, like,
I
I
never
do
really
appreciate
liked
the
the movie.
story. It's a great story. But I just, like, never got into it. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I do love Tony Todd, though.
Yeah.
He is a giant. But Clive Barker is also a painter. And I went to a gallery that had his art, and it was cool, but like I'm
Was
not
it
like
his erotic art or his horror art?
No, it was
or
just
what
the horror
it?
art. But
Oh,
like
horror.
I've heard that like his erotic stuff is just pictures of dicks.
It is.
Pretty much.
It's beautiful.
Big, beautiful dicks.
Big beautiful
Beautiful
penises. All right, so we're at the scene, the massacre at the nightclub.
Oh,
Here
the
comes
CD
the
guy.
DJ, the CD guy.
He's like, the fuck?
I know all these compact discs.
Oh my god. So yeah, they're making kind of pseudo Cenobites, and he's just laughing and laughing away.
Well, Clive Barker was definitely responsible for most of the gore in this scene. I love all the chains coming out of things,
Yeah.
like the pool.
The guy's face getting pulled,
table.
necks getting opened up, and
Yeah.
chains going through people. And he's just standing there
I know, I
laughing
love that
away.
he's just standing there, like, laughing at their demise. Like, he's like, fuck all you people. I'm Pinhead.
Perfect.
What of it? So this is a very interesting tidbit about Clive Barker. When he was 3 years old, he witnessed the death of a skydiver.
Oh my
Ooh.
god, really?
Did you read that?
No,
Maybe,
I didn't see that anywhere.
have you
Yeah,
read any
so-
anecdotes about him mentioning that
Yes.
it messed his brain up?
Well, okay, so he witnessed the death of the skydiver. It was during a performance at an air show in Liverpool, and he actually has alluded to him in many of his stories.
Interesting.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Pretty fucking crazy thing for a 3-year-old to witness. Some more information about Clive. Before he did Hellraiser, he wrote a couple movies. So he wrote a movie called Underworld, obviously not like the vampire
Yeah.
Underworld, but he has another name called Transmutations. And Rawhead Rex, which I never fucking knew that Clive Barker wrote. And it's one of those movies that it's like on my radar. It's on my list of movies to watch. I always thought it was Australian, but it's not. It's
yeah, it's weird.
It's Irish.
It's a creature feature.
Yeah, it's like this like monster
Yeah,
in like
yeah.
the desert or
I didn't know
something.
he wrote that either.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Interesting. I've never seen it.
But both Transmutations and Rawhead Rex were both directed by George Pavlou, but Clive wasn't happy with the way that his stories were directed, which happens a lot, and so that's why he decided to direct Hellraiser himself, because he wanted it to be the way that he wanted it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we've done a few episodes where, like, a lot of, like, directors have, like, had past experiences with just writing and having a director direct their stories, and they end up like not being happy with it. And I'm very glad that he decided to obviously direct Hellraiser because it's a masterpiece.
amazing.
Just the scene of Frank coming out of the
my
floorboards.
god. Everything
It's the
about
same
it.
for me in
so
Hellraiser
good.
2 when what's her name is being recreated from the mattress with the blood stain.
Yeah.
It's the exact same, only in reverse.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But
it's a
I feel like
beautiful
the
scene.
special effects though with the Frank coming out of the floorboards.
they were intense.
I'm almost like I have no idea
Oh my
how it
God.
happened, and you mentioned
I watched it. So they did it. It's in reverse. They took it apart. right, and then played it backwards or whatever. But
even like just like the
watching it
spine
happen
attaching to the
brain, and it's like
looks
and like the
crazy.
ants and everything like crawling on the brain, and then like the tendons and the nerves like joining together. Like, I love anatomy. I'm like an anatomy student, and like watching that scene just like melts my heart. It's so fucking good,
and it's so
the best
slimy,
part,
and just
best
like
part of the
everything
whole
is like
fucking movie.
just like jiggling. And
It
like
is the best part of the movie,
intense.
but an underrated part of that movie is the creepy guy with the bugs in his hair.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he eats
The
the
bum?
bugs.
Yeah.
The bum?
And he
Yeah.
reaches into the fucking cricket.
Fuck that
Yeah,
bum,
and he's
man.
crunching on the crickets
And
in
I
the roll.
was
and he's
working in
eating
that
their
fucking
stuff.
pet store, and that fucking bum came in there eating my crickets.
Aw.
Like, get the fuck out of here, bum. But yeah,
man.
that scene though, with Uncle Frank coming out of the floorboards though, like being revived by the blood, I'm in love with the special effects of that scene. Like, it's just phenomenal fucking work. Love it.
And him without any skin, it's like,
Oh my god, I know.
Oh, like sopping blood through his
I know.
white
Daddy.
shirt.
He's like, I want to touch you.
No, oh no.
and he's like, yeah, grabbing her tit and with his greasy ass fucking
Bloody
hand.
fingers. Like,
Ugh.
skinless fingers.
Yeah.
Come to daddy.
Oh,
I always love the part in Hellraiser when Claire Higgins is like trying to have sex with her husband, and then Frank is just standing over the bed like fucking cutting a rat.
Oh,
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh,
Get out of here,
man.
bro. I'm trying to fuck.
I know, what the hell?
He's like standing over my bed, like cutting a rat in half. Like,
Oh, fuck. So funny.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Jesus
another
Christ.
movie that I love that Clive Barker wrote and directed was Lord of Illusions.
No, stop. That movie's so
That
fucking
movie fucked
good.
me up when I was a kid. I watched that movie when it was like first released, and the part where like the mask like
And it-
drills into his skull.
I don't think I've
was
seen
like,
Lord of Illusions.
What?
No.
You must.
Oh my
you
god!
must.
What? You've never seen Lord of
You
Illusions?
would
No,
laugh.
I don't think so.
that.
Dude, that movie is awesome.
When
I
the scene
don't
where he
think I
fakes
have.
his
Oh,
death and the
fuck.
swords start like falling into his body. When I was a child, gave me nightmares. And then when they sink into the sand, and then the sand
Yes,
compresses
yeah.
their ribs, and they suffocate to death. Dude,
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome.
I can't believe you've never fucking seen
No.
Lord of Illusions.
it will
I
fuck
never
you
have.
up even
So
today.
good.
Awesome.
Even today,
It's
it will
awesome.
fuck you
It's
up.
That's
so
what I-
fucking good.
that's what I like to
Especially
hear.
like
There's
yeah,
like mild pedophilia, but like in a way that you don't really know. Like he marries a 13-year-old,
Oh,
but
well, that's
like
creepy.
no, but like it, you understand the character better through that. Oh no, it's really.
It's awesome. It's so fucking good. And Scott Bakula.
Is he in it? No, he's not.
His
Really?
last name is Bakula.
You don't know who Scott Bakula is?
Quantum Leap?
His literal last name is
Bakula. Yeah.
You're fucking with me, right?
like Dracula, but bad.
Oh my god, I'm so
Quantum Leap? You say you don't know Quantum... Okay. Quantum Leap was like...
I love you, Megan, but you make me feel old.
I don't know. What is
Guys!
Is it a show? It sounds
Yeah.
funny.
Megan doesn't know what Quantum Leap is.
Okay,
Haunt her on the internet.
It sounds funny. What is it?
It's
Is it funny?
it's a show where Scott Bakula's character is he like a particle physicist or something? I don't know. There's like some sort of a program that they end up doing. So he ends up leaping his like soul, I guess, into other people's bodies to change the course of history.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, he leaps into different bodies.
I still can't get over the fact that you don't know what Quantum Leap is.
Never heard
Dude,
of
I
it.
grew up watching
Never.
Quantum Leap.
Oh, yeah,
It's
so
great.
Subatomic physicist,
Don't
particle
even know
physicist,
if
whatever,
Yeah.
same
it's
shit.
lying to me or not.
Oh my! An owl was like the hologram.
Yeah,
Actually,
Dean
I
Stockwell.
watched. I watched the first episode recently, and the
It's
first
so
episode
cheesy.
sucks, but then it gets better.
It is. It's a fun
Oh
show.
my fucking god!
It's one of those nostalgic shows that I used to watch, like along with like Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Megan, I'm gonna buy you the Quantum Leap like box set. It's so good. I love it.
Okay.
That's amazing. I can't believe you've never fucking seen Quantum Leap.
No, never. Doesn't even sound remotely familiar.
All right, back to Clive Barker. Clive Barker, I'm sure you remember, had his own toy line, the
Yeah.
Tortured Souls. I had a couple of them. The best one, I think, was like the guy that was like hanging by hooks and had like a different like fetus in his like hollow stomach or something. That guy was really cool. But apparently, the Tortured Souls were based on a novelette, and apparently he was actually supposed to direct the film based on the characters and the novelette. But there's nothing on IMDb, but it says to be announced on Wikipedia.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure if that's still happening. But last year, he announced that he was going to be writing the remake of Hellraiser.
Yeah, we saw that, yeah.
I actually, I remember when he announced this, and everybody was like, holy shit, Clive Barker is going to remake his own movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be amazing. But then some directors were added to the project, but then they left. And then in 2013, he said he made a deal with Bob Weinstein and would push for more practical effects, less CGI, and have Doug Bradley play Pinhead. But then, as of this year, Clive stated that it hasn't moved forward as of yet. He said the script was sent to Dimensions years ago, but then nothing was ever spoken ever since until now. And then now all of a sudden this new Hellraiser Judgment surfaced.
Oh.
So I feel like Dimensions kind of went behind his back.
Yeah.
They
I was
fucked
gonna
him.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but get this though. Before we get into the Hellraiser sequels, on IMDb, there is still a credit for the Clive Barker Hellraiser. And the premise takes place 27 years after the original, and Kirsty returns home for a funeral, and her daughter is the one being haunted by creatures, and she is the one who is given the box. So that's on IMDb. It's still very vague.
The camera fucking Cenobite, I can't even.
Oh my god, the fucking
The camera
cameraman,
head guy.
Cenobite, how this camera is his eyeball.
Oh my, he's like a weird fucked up board.
Also, I like how the actor who played the cameraman is obviously not a fit muscle man, so when they put him in all this PVC and his fat bulges are coming out of his outfit, that's kind of cheesy.
Yeah. And he's like some crazy cyber goth guy.
Yeah, but I
all
love that his
squished in.
fat is bulging out of his the PVC tape.
Oh, fuck, it's bad.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like the costumes themselves look cheap.
They don't look good. Even Pinhead's costume,
Yeah, it looks-
the rips
it
and
looks
stuff, it
different.
looks cheesy, yeah.
Yeah.
Because even the Cenobites, well, especially the Cenobites in the second one. I love the Cenobites in the
Yeah.
second one where they're actually in hell or whatever.
Yeah.
Those costumes are fucking bang on.
This CD guy is just cheap.
Oh my god, I love the DJ. And the bartender, too. He's got his, Molotov cocktail thing,
Yeah.
and he just, blows it out of his mouth. I used to have all the Hellraiser, action figures, but they just, collected a lot of dust, so I sold
Yeah.
them. Oh, here he is, the
He
bartender.
looks like a baby.
Barbie.
I like how he just comes out of the
He
brick
does
wall.
look like a baby, like a big, weird,
That barbed wire looks so fake.
bad.
So
Yeah.
plastic.
Apparently, there's a scene here when Joey is running away from the Cenobites, and there's two pedestrians just walking on the sidewalk and not
nothing-
even noticing
Nothing
that
is
they're
going
shooting
on.
the movie.
Yep. No big deal. Just 2, 3 fucking demons from hell.
Oh, good. The cops are here. Phew.
Yeah.
I can always rely on the police.
But anyways, I feel like that's, if that is in fact true, what you're talking about, Yaz, why would you choose a new Hellraiser instead of picking up Clive Barker?
Yeah.
Are you fucking stupid?
Especially, a really bad, super cheap one.
Right?
To have Clive Barker's name attached and have him want to direct a brand new, reimagining.
Yeah.
Would be 100-fold times better than whatever garbage they put out for $200,000. Let's be honest.
It's gonna be their own fucking...
Yeah.
Through the day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about the other Hellraiser movies.
Okay.
The first Hellraiser was released in 1987. We've discussed a little bit about it, already, with the scene of Uncle Frank coming out of the floorboards and everything.
Yeah, he's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Especially when he has no skin on.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
Yeah, and Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 65%, which I think is absurd.
I do not agree with that.
That is absurd.
I think
the first Hellraiser movie is a fucking masterpiece.
It's
it
kinda
should have
flawless.
been. It
It's
should have been in the
kinda
80s at
flawless.
least. I get that. Some people are like, oh, it's cheesy horror movie. They think that that's what it is.
It's not.
But
It's not cheesy at all.
It's the most serious. Of
I
all of the
know.
movies.
I know a few people that were okay. The scene after Frank comes out of the floorboards, and the scene with him crawling towards Julia,
Yeah.
scared the fuck
Blurred.
out of people
Yeah.
back then, man. And I love the part where after she, like, kills her first victim and she's in the bathroom and, like, he's just like, you want a cookie, little girl? I love that. You want a cookie, little girl? I love that scene so much. But yeah, obviously the first one is phenomenal. Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, came out a year later. IMDb gave it a 6.5. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 48%. Suck my dick.
What? Like, I don't understand why such low...
The second one is awesome.
The first and second ones are great.
They're
very good.
I love that the second one, like, has many scenes in hell.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
That's why I like the second one so much.
It's more of, like, a fantasy horror.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? A lot of horror movies don't, like, delve, like, into the fantasy genre. You know what I mean? Like sub-world levels. You know, like, different, like, parallel...
And they even go into, like, Uncle Frank's hell, where it's just, like, writhing women come out.
Yes!
And, like, under the sheet,
and it's, like,
bloody.
to torture him.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
And, like, Dr. Chenard, the character of Dr. Chenard is amazing because he's, like, obsessed with the history, and then he finally, like, becomes, like, a Cenobite. Okay, so we're at the scene where Pinhead is at the church. So a fun fact about this, like, it's like the Black Mass scene caused controversy in the city because, like, this was filmed in North Carolina, and a lot of people protested actually against this movie because, especially of the scene of Pinhead in the church. He was actually refused permission to shoot in a real church. So he used a painting of the background of the altar, like, for this scene. But, you know, okay, I want to say, okay, Hellraiser 3 is, like, cheesy. It's not, like, serious, like, 1 and 2 or anything. But I do appreciate cheesy horror movies. But when it comes to Hellraiser 3... I love this scene.
Yeah.
The scene of him in the church is as
fantastic.
Serious as you're going to fucking get. It's so sacrilegious.
Yeah, and he's
which
like
I admire.
giving
and he's
him
doing
the body of Christ.
And
And
it's
he's
so fucking awesome. It's the best scene in the whole fucking movie. I love it so much. But yeah, so back to the sequels. All right, so what do you guys think of Hellraiser 4, Bloodline?
Oh, I wanted more. It was okay. But I wanted more. Like, you expect, like, when they get into, like, the where's in the house and the...
into the deeper
more.
story. Yeah,
I wanted more.
That was the last one that I watched.
Okay.
Like, I didn't get any farther than 4. The last time that I saw number 4 was probably, like, 15 or so years ago. But I do remember liking it, and that's the one where they kind of get into more of the backstory.
Yeah, there's, like, it's like a reporter, right? Like a cop? Like a detective.
No, you're thinking of the fifth one.
That's Inferno.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get into it. I love the fourth one, Bloodline. It's actually one of my favorites, and it's actually pretty crazy that it gets such a bad rep online, and I don't understand why. I think the fourth one is great. The fourth one is considered one of the worst in the series. Even the director removed his name.
What?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this, but if you are a director and you are like completely ashamed of the movie that you made,
you can just
you can actually use a fake name, and it's always the same name. The name is Alan Smithy. Okay,
no way.
Get this. There's actually a documentary / movie about the student name, like Alan Smithy. It's a name used by film directors to remove their name
and
off of a project
yeah.
and like basically disown a project.
That's
and
interesting.
So yeah, I haven't seen this like documentary about Alan Smithy or whatever, but I honestly, like, I never understood why it got like to that point, because I still think that the fourth one is a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
What I love about it, okay, so it was made in 1996. IMDb gave it a 5.1. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 31%. But what I loved about it the most, I watched it a lot when it was, like, released, and what I loved about it the most was that it actually explained the history of the box.
Yes.
And it went back in time to the maker of the box and how it came to be, and it was like this whole satanic like ritual, and like they hired a man to replicate the box obviously through the forces of Satan, but
Of
his
course.
bloodline was like forever cursed, no matter what he did. So okay, so it starts in space. I know that's gonna sound bad.
Hellraiser in space. You know it's bad.
I know it's gonna sound bad. It starts in space, but then he starts like telling the story, and then it goes back to like the 1800s, and Adam Scott from Parks and Rec
Oh my god.
is in it, and he is so hot. He is so fucking hot in Hellraiser 4 and Boy Meets World. Just putting that out there. Don't you remember Adam Scott in Boy Meets World?
Who the fuck is he in Boy Meets World? The brother?
He's the bully. He was the second bully. But anyways. So I like that they went back in history and they explained like how the box was made and then like what happened to it afterwards and how it was connected to Cenobites, how it was connected to Pinhead and like hell and everything. But the gore in it was incredible as well. And also Kim Myers, who is in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 and Heavy Metal Summer.
Yeah.
She plays the mom in the character of the 90s because it goes through like different like stages of like history. And the best part, in my opinion, is when her husband, who is like part of like the bloodline of like Le Marchand or whatever, the guy who like originally like made the box, Pinhead comes for him and he makes a chain go flying into his neck. And it comes out the other end of the back of his neck, and then it turns into a blade. It, like, retracts into a blade, and then it goes backwards, and then it fucking chops his head off. But the fact that it's done in slow motion is so fucking sweet. Like, his head just starts to recline backwards, and it's the greatest fucking goriest scene in probably the series. Like, it's so fucking awesome. I love it so much. And then it goes back into space and everything, and then Pinhead is, like they're basically trying to, like, kill Pinhead, like, in space by, like, putting him into, like, the lament configuration, and then he gets, like, blown up at the end of the movie. But then Part 5 comes out, Inferno, and then it just ignores all
of that.
It just ignores everything that happened in Part 4.
So 1 to 4
and then all
is
of a
like
sudden,
the storyline.
Oh, Pinhead never died. Pinhead never got blown up, and then he's just like, cool, there's like this guy who cheats on his wife and then goes to a hotel to fuck a hooker, and then all of a sudden he plays with the box, and then like these like sexy Cenobites come out with like black tongues.
Oh no.
That's all I remember. That's all I remember from Inferno. I remember renting it and being like, it has nothing to do with like the sequels at all.
Yeah.
That's when it started to fall apart for me.
Yeah.
And so Bloodline, I think, is still a great movie, but Inferno is like, that's when it started to like
I feel
bad.
like just even the name of it, Inferno.
Yeah. It strays away from those stories, though. The first 4, at least, they kind of make sense together,
They
right?
do. They make sense together. Like, they follow suit. Because at the end of Part 3, the box gets buried in the cement, and then it turns into a building. And then in Part 4, Jean Marchand works for the building where the box is like part of the design, and then he doesn't understand like why he's a part of it, and it's actually because of his bloodline and blah 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 blah. But like even the part where they like resurrect the demon woman is like so gory. It's awesome. But yeah, so Inferno, that's all I remember. So it came out in 2000. It has a 5.6 on IMDb, and it has no score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
What?
Good sign.
Yeah. So then Hellraiser 6, Hellseeker, comes out in 2002. And I remember I was still living in my parents' house, and I remember it was a big deal because Ashley Lawrence was like making her comeback.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay.
So Ashley Lawrence like made her comeback to the Hellraiser series, and so it was a huge deal. And I remember renting it and watching it. I don't even remember it.
And it's garbage, probably.
I don't even remember it. Like, I think she hires Pinhead to kill people for her.
What?
Or something.
Oh, fuck. Go
That
fuck.
sounds ridiculous.
I don't even
fuck.
remember, like, at all.
Sounds terrible.
Hellseeker
Ah.
has a 5.1 on IMDb and has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not good.
That's brutal.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Okay, so Hellraiser 7, Deader.
Deader?
No.
Deader. So I actually have never seen this one. Have you guys seen
Is
this one?
that the internet
No,
one?
it's not. No.
Number
no.
4 is the last one that I ever saw.
Okay, so Hellraiser 7, Deader, came out in 2005.
Tom Bradley is still attached to
Yes,
these ones.
yes,
Oh,
yeah.
that poor
Okay,
man.
I know. He's doing all right.
Yeah.
So Deader came out in 2005. IMDb gave it a 4.6. Rotten Tomatoes, 17%.
Okay.
I
Well,
never
at least
saw
it had a score.
I never saw it. Maybe I'll watch it. Who knows? Okay, Hellraiser 8. Hellworld. Where Pinhead haunts the internet.
That's the internet.
Oh my god.
Like, what?
I've owned that copy for
I've seen
about
it.
6
I've seen
years,
it.
and
It's
it
like-
remains in the package.
You know what it makes me think of? Actually, the Night of the Demons remake.
Really?
Did you ever watch the Night of
Why?
the Demons remake with Edward Furlong?
Oh no, I did
Whoa.
not.
Really?
That sounds
Okay,
terrible, though.
it just like it's very similar. Like they all meet at a party and then shit goes wrong.
Yeah.
And like Pinhead sends invites online and then like to this party and then they show up to this party and then he kills them. Like
What?
yeah.
Like Pinhead's like, please accept my Facebook invitation to my event, and like I'm gonna be there with all my whips and chains, and I'm gonna fuck y'all up. Like that's real?
dude, it's real.
Oh, that's so
It
bad.
actually happened.
Well, I feel like when the internet first came out, though, it was like
Everybody
this
was,
crazy
like,
thing.
exploiting it.
Yeah,
It was, like,
it's
super
a crazy
novelty.
thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of like understand that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were a little bit too late because that's 2005. The internet was like at least 10 years old by then.
But, well, Hellworld, IMDb gave it a 4.2 and Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 20%.
20.
Yeah.
Wow, so it's better than
But Deader, yeah, apparently so.
Better than Deader.
Maybe
I don't
I'll-
even remember Deader. Hellworld, I remember.
I don't remember Deader at all.
Who came up with that fucking name?
Deader.
Terrible.
Deader.
But they both came out the same year, 2005.
Yes, they came out the same year.
That's also a great.
So I'm
sign.
assuming Doug
Great
Bradley
sign.
probably had very minimal
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We're gonna get into the
we're
really
gonna get
bad
into
stuff
it.
now.
We're getting into it. Okay, Hellraiser 9, Revelations, came out in 2011. IMDb, get this shit, 2.8. Rotten Tomatoes, no score. Okay, so this is the first Hellraiser movie that Doug Bradley did not play Pinhead.
Oh, and it just he looks so.
Dude, oh
The
my
cover of that
fucking
movie is
God.
awful.
Oh my fucking God.
The cover is rotten.
Okay,
I
so
know
Doug
that.
was offered the role of Pinhead, but he turned it down because of the poor quality of the script. I rented it. I tried. I gave it a chance. I fucking got like half an hour into it, and I shut that shit off. I'm sorry. That movie is garbage. It's garbage. It's so fucking bad.
Imagine being the oh.
Are you looking at screen captures?
I am, but imagine being the actor who's walking in knowing the shoes that he's filling. Are you cocky?
Dude,
Yeah.
Are you cocky about it? Are you
Yeah.
shameful about it?
I'm not sure what the actor's name is. I don't hate him at all. You know, like, obviously he's just, like, fucking, like,
Just
working.
revisit that face. I just want you to revisit that
It was bad. It was so bad. Like, not even just the guy that played Pinhead, but the other actors. Like, I just, like, ugh.
Do you know what this guy looks like?
A baby doll?
Well, he actually kind of looks like in the new Alien movies, like Covenant and Prometheus. You know, the like engineers, like creepy white-looking dudes.
Yeah.
But if you stuck pins in their face.
Yeah. It's pretty.
It's
But like,
terrible.
no, that they could have cast somebody that if they put the makeup on would have looked closer than that. Like that looks. I can't. No, it looks so bad.
It's so fucking bad.
Garbage.
All right, so let's talk about fucking the new Hellraiser. So the 10th Hellraiser, Judgment, to be released this year. It's actually supposed to be released on Hellraiser's 30th anniversary.
Which is?
Which is this year, 2017. Heather Langenkamp is probably the biggest name attached to the project.
Yes, girl.
She plays a landlady. All right, so Hellraiser 10, Judgment, directed by Gary Tunnicliffe. He is actually a special effects artist, and he also wrote Hellraiser Deader, the one that I haven't seen. Clive Barker and Doug Bradley have absolutely nothing to do with it. Dimension had to make another one in the series in order to maintain the rights of the
I
intellectual
see how
property
it is.
and offered the writing and directing role to Gary. Originally, he couldn't find financial backers, So he actually started a Kickstarter,
Ooh.
but then he removed it
That's
later.
so cheese.
But then he removed it
Yeah, I
later.
wonder.
So I'm not sure how long the Kickstarter actually occurred for, but then he removed it.
I wonder if maybe in the interim period, like, somebody actually came to the
I have
table
no
with
idea.
an offer for the movie, or if
Maybe
he was just, like, so shamed.
I think, like, but you know,
Yeah.
I think, like, Dimension probably were just like, but we, like, they wanted to, like, keep the rights of the intellectual property.
Right.
So, like, they were just like, fuck it.
They just had to put
we'll
out
find
do
you
something.
We'll
Put out
find
some
you the
garbage.
financial packers.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so basically, this guy, Gary, he was unhappy with how Revelations turned out, and he wished that he directed it, and he had high hopes for the new movie Judgment, like, because he wrote the one prior, Debtor or whatever, and he wasn't happy with the way that it was directed. So because he's directing Judgment, he has high hopes for it. But I just want to quote him. This is what he said. I wrote a traditional Hellraiser story with revelations, and it got raped by the fans.
Oh.
I'm not going to try and appease the fans anymore.
Oh.
I'm going to make a film for me, and I have a very strong idea visually on where I want to go with the story, and it's going to be very different.
Okay.
So he seems to not, like, give a shit about
Who
the
says
franchise.
that? Yeah, but who says I don't
Yeah,
care about
what
the
the hell?
fans? I don't want to please the fans. Who has the nerve to say
Well,
that?
considering the fans
seems-
are the people that, like,
Make the
it
movie.
happen.
He
Yeah.
seems to be very confident in this new movie, it seems. Like, obviously, he was very displeased with how Revelations, whatever.
sorry, yeah. There's too many
Yeah,
bad
like, he
ones.
was like, I know it was bad because of the director, but because I'm directing Judgment,
way better.
It'll be way
But
better.
it'll be way better
But it's
because
gonna
I
be
don't
his
care what
vision.
anybody thinks.
It'll
It's
be
what
his
I
vision.
want to do.
Everybody knows that, like, Hellraiser's vision is Clive Barker's vision, you know? So we'll see. I'm, like, you know, I'm not gonna, like, make too many judgments, like, before I see the movie, but either way, it's very hard to not be critical because, like, obviously, like, we've been, like, horror fans our entire lives.
What year did you
and
say this is coming out?
This year. It's coming out this year.
2017.
Yes.
2017. 2017 is coming to an
2017.
end in 4
2017.
months. There hasn't been any trailers or anything. 2017 is over
Well,
so soon. It's gonna be a bullshit movie.
And they released a couple photographs.
Yeah.
It'll be
And
a
I'm not
direct
sure how I
DVD.
feel.
Right?
I'm not sure how I feel about the photographs. They released a couple photos. They released a picture of Pinhead with a character called the Auditor, and 2 other Cenobites, the Butcher and the Surgeon. The Surgeon is already another Cenobite character, I think from part 5, but the Surgeon just looks like a gimp mask. It's like a fucking gas mask.
Yeah.
And the Butcher is
He reminds me of
it's just like a fat guy, like, wearing
Texas
a mask.
Chainsaw. He reminds me of Leatherface.
Yeah.
Like he's got on that bib that like
But it's like,
Oh,
it's this
but-
guy's vision, though. Like, he's making it his own film. But so Gary, he actually offered the role of Pinhead to Doug. He said he was, like, gonna be promised the script to read before making his decision, but then Doug Bradley refused the role when he was told that he would have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which basically means that he would not be allowed to discuss anything with anyone. This is what Doug Bradley said on his Facebook page. Clearly, I am deemed too much of a security risk to be allowed to read a Hellraiser script. People are starving to death in Syria, and they're worried about me talking about Hellraiser movie. Get a fucking grip.
nice.
Yeah,
All
so
on their shit.
I also am looking up at the IMDb right now. It's Hellraiser Judgment, right? I think it may
Yeah.
have already come out and it didn't do anything.
no, it's already out. No,
It says release date, and there's like all kinds of information about it. Anyway, so I gotta read you this one thing. So apparently, the director Gary had contacted
Gary
Doug.
Tunnicliffe.
Yeah, he contacted Doug Bradley to ask for advice for the new actor who was
How
playing
offensive!
Pinhead. Paul Taylor apparently is this guy's name, and he asked him for some advice. And apparently, from what Doug Bradley said, Gary told him that Mr. Taylor has the screen presence of Peter Cushing and Ralph Fiennes. So he
Yeah, I
won't,
read that
he
too.
won't need any help from me, will he?
I
It's
don't
like this
know.
Gary guy's like saying all these amazing things about his movie. Like this guy sounds like a fucking
pretty
egomaniac.
judgmental
I'm
with this
sorry.
movie. Like, I didn't watch Debtor or whatever, but, like, I don't know, man. But the weird thing is, though, is, like, the fact that there's still an IMDb credit for Clive Barker's, like, remake. So I'm not sure if that's still happening.
It could happen.
But Doug Bradley did state when he was asked, he did an interview with like iHorror News. They were asked him like, you're just like, so after like all the bullshit that happened with like Judgment, you're not doing it. Like, would you still reprise like the Pinhead character if like Clive Barker did it? And he said, never say never.
Yeah.
I know he would, because him and Clive Barker are homies.
They're buddies.
Like, of course that he would
they're
do
homies.
that.
And he knows that he would make a good movie.
Oh,
too,
absolutely,
though, you know?
yeah.
I know.
Especially given like today's like resources and all that stuff, like he would do a spectacular.
I'm sad for Heather Langenkamp for even doing this.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'll watch
What up
it.
with
Like,
that?
I'll go see it. But it's just kind of a weird situation. Like, it seems very biased. Like, it seems like the director just like kind of doesn't give a shit what anybody says and just gonna make his own movie, which is like cool, but like, do you know what
it
you're
seems like
with?
he went there because he had a tantrum. It's not like he set out to be like, I'm doing my own thing. I feel like he tried something and then was like,
well, of course, fans of the series are gonna be like critical of it. Like, don't be a baby and like.
But at the same time, though, like
on the internet,
I kind of feel like he's probably has this like pressure though, because like Dimension like wanted to keep the rights to Hellraiser, right? Yeah. So they were rushed. Like they were like, we need to get another Hellraiser movie in so we can like keep the rights to the characters and the property and blah 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 blah. So he's probably like, well, if I have this like opportunity, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I'm not like judging him like too quickly. Like, he's probably in a situation where it's just like, I have a chance to make this movie, like, and it's obviously like Dimension are in this like situation where like they need to keep the rights to the franchise, and they offered me this role. Obviously you would take it. You know, so we'll see. Either way, no matter what, if it ends up being shitty, if Clive Barker still does that movie that he was like intending on doing, that's like 27 years like after, and like Kirsty's like character with like the daughter and everything, like I'm sure that would be successbut because everybody already knows like Clive Barker's name, and everybody knows actually
I would totally be into seeing it, of course.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. But another like sad note, Simon Sace is the man responsible for the design of the box, just passed away.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so he just passed away from cancer, and he created the design of the box and the lament configuration. There was a whole article on Bloody Disgusting about his life and everything. But other than that, we finished the movie.
Yeah.
And
we made it. We made it through.
We made it through Hellraiser 3. And so we're going to discuss some other things that we recently watched. But first of all, I would like to give my condolences to George A. Romero, who just recently passed away.
True that.
So that's obviously like a big shock to everybody in the horror community, and obviously like respect the man. I saw him at a distance. I didn't approach him. I went to a horror convention and I was like, there he is.
I saw him.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I should approach him, blah, blah, blah. But like, obviously Night of the Living Dead is like a very nostalgic movie. All of the, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I will say that there is a couple of movies of his that I haven't seen, and I'm very embarrassed to say that I've never seen Season of the Witch.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen that one movie.
Season of the Witch with Nicolas Cage.
No. No.
Because that's a good movie.
I don't know. The original, the one from 1972.
Well.
I would love to watch it. One day I will. And another movie that like me and Morgan were actually like discussing recently that we haven't seen, Knight Rider.
Yeah. That movie looks
Knight
ridiculous.
Riders is one of George A. Romero's movies that I've never seen. He wrote it and directed it, and it looks amazing.
It's like motorcycle jousting.
It's
that does absurd.
Look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty awesome. He passed away in Toronto, and there was we live very close to Toronto. There was a memorial thing that like happened in the city and everything. I couldn't make it, but like I hope that it like, it was pretty awesome and like lots of people showed up. And other than that, me and Morgan, we watched Raw.
Yeah, we did
Recently.
Yep.
Was it
last
good?
week?
Yeah. It was
it good though? Because I heard it wasn't there.
I thought it was good, but like some scenes were a little avant-garde. Like some scenes were just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I sort of get what they were going for, and I didn't think it was like it was a good movie, but it wasn't like, the ending wasn't like, wow.
Like Martyrs.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't like the kind of movie that you think about for fucking weeks. Like Martyrs, that was one of the movies that just like, it did that to me, and every time I watch it, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Start thinking about things in a different way. It was good. But it was still almost kind of like, well, like, oh, she's a vegetarian and she started eating meat, and like, maybe there was more underlying themes there about, like, there were a lot of underlying themes of like, you know, teenagers and like coming into adulthood and like sexuality and things like that. But I don't know what else they were really going for other than like, yeah, she ate some fucking people.
Right.
It was cool.
Right.
And it, you know,
well, there was
guess,
like the whole story with like her sister. It was interesting to see like how it developed into a story, because like her sister was kind of like in the same boat as her, like for her, and it was all right. It was directed and written by a French lady, Julia Ducournau, and it was all right. It was definitely worth a watch.
Yeah,
definitely watch
I would say watch it. I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. So there's some new movies coming out soon. I'm a big fan of Turbo Kid, and those guys are working on a new movie called Summer of '84. It's kind of all over the internet right now.
I know, I've seen some shit.
I can't wait to see that movie, so that's going to be exciting. And I'm going to let Megan talk about Dark Tower.
I'm like gonna try and do this with no spoilers.
She's the Stephen King fan of the group.
But like, not just that, like Dark Tower, I have 2 Dark Tower tattoos. I have like 27 t-shirts. Like, Dark Tower changed my life. Those books were like a pivotal part of my life. So I heard the movie was coming out, and I've always been like a super harsh critic of books turned film.
It's hard to do.
Very hard to do, especially when these books are there's so much story, and there's so much emotion, and there's so much, I mean, to even build some of these characters, Stephen King took the first 4 books just building character, and then they tried to make one fucking movie that is all-encompassing anyways.
Well, sorry, isn't it based off like the 5th or 7th
No, it's
book
not
or
based
something?
off. It's not based off any book.
Okay,
the storyline is.
Sorry, I thought it was based off like the 7th book. That's what I read online.
No, so there are parts of the 7th book.
Right.
There are parts of the first book. There are parts of the last.
So they're
book.
basically trying to piece together this like amazingly long, absurd story into
epic.
2 hours.
And then they, you know, I can't even. It's really hard to do without spoilers, but there's all these things that they. And then they made it so that they could make another movie after, but they've already done something to one of the main characters who they would need to continue the story according to the books. I don't know if they're going to do continue the movies according to the books.
Well, I remember like a while ago when like they were like making the movie, and you were, if I remember correctly, displeased with the fact that they actually cast Matthew McConaughey as that character, because like if I remember correctly, you said that that character should not be pretty.
He should not be pretty. He should be like not ugly. He's not like a disformed character, but he's like asexual almost. He should almost be like you don't react to the way he looks. And Matthew McConaughey did a very good job, but only because he's a great actor.
All right.
He's got this attitude about him, and the acting was phenomenal. That is the one thing I'll say about the movie is the acting was bang on. But there wasn't enough character development. There wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough story development. Can't even do it! I can't even get to the end. But at the end of the movie, something does or doesn't happen, which at the end of the book does or doesn't happen. So it leads you to believe that they've wrapped it up.
So
it's just so
from
bad.
From a person that like has never read the books, though, like I only read the first graphic novel. Would I enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of action. There's like one big fight scene. Yeah.
Lots of ladies love that guy from Luther, though. Is it
Idris
Luther
Elba?
in The Wire? Yeah.
Idris Elba, yeah.
He's so fucking hot. He does a great job at playing Roland, it's true. But there's just, even you guys will watch it and say they needed more time. The movie is cut so short that right when you get into the good stuff, that's the end scene.
Well, I thought that, like, originally it was supposed to be a series.
Well, they're doing a TV series now.
Oh.
I know it will still be hard, but at least if they're going to be doing a series over the course of, like, 20 or so episodes, they'll at least be able to get a little bit more into the story.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to stuff the contents of, like, 7 or so books into
And they inserted
hour
a lot
and
of
a half.
things that didn't happen in any of the books. I mean, you have 8 books to pull from,
Right.
and yet you create things that never happened in any of
Yeah.
them for certain scenes. Like, why would you feel the need to do that?
Yeah.
So I was a little bit disappointed, but like I said to you guys earlier, there was a lot of mention of The Shining, Christine, Cujo. Like there's a bunch of King. If you're a King fan, you're gonna love it. If you haven't read the books, if you've read the books, you're gonna be fucking
I just read the
pissed.
first graphic novel.
Oh, you're gonna, and the graphic novel isn't even based on the first book.
Yeah,
It's based on like the 4th book.
interesting.
But anyways, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that because there's a lot of King fans of reviews I read that were like, he never fucks up. Of course, this is like a masterpiece because King can do no wrong. And
Yeah, but how
I
much did
disagree.
Stephen King actually have to do with the movie aspect of it?
Quite a bit as far as like giving it the okay. He gave the end of the movie before it being released. The yes, this is good enough. To be
Oh, he like
released.
approved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'll check it out.
I mean, it's going to be a million times better.
Oh
we all
my
know
god,
that.
yes.
We
We
all
are going
were
to see
prepared
that
for like
shit.
a masterpiece.
Yes.
Yeah.
In it.
Oh
Yes.
fuck! I can't wait for it,
Oh,
man.
it's gonna sell out. I mean, people are gonna be buying tickets for that. Like in
now.
the
It
advance.
comes
I know.
out soon.
I know. I can't
It's
wait.
coming.
for
September
it.
8th.
Yeah,
It's pretty
less
awesome.
than a
I
month
heard that
away.
like the actors that like played like the kids got to choose the actors that played them in the future.
Wow, that'd be cool.
I know.
Like no pressure.
Well, the San Diego Comic-Con recently happened, and everybody knows that like when San Diego Comic-Con like fucking happens, all the trailers come out.
Yep.
So the new Stranger Things trailer came out. Oh my fucking god! God damn it! The new fucking Stranger Things trailer, like when they played Thriller in
I
it.
actually didn't see it.
Oh my god! Oh my god! The new trailer fucking is awesome.
Looks really good.
I'm so fucking excited for that. Also, there was a trailer for the new American Horror Story.
Crossover,
Cult.
right?
It's called Cult.
Yeah.
Obviously, all their fucking
Wow.
trailers are cryptic as fuck. And, like, I have no idea what the fuck it's about, but it was, like, a bunch of clowns.
They say that it's going to be a crossover of Coven and the first one, are rumors that I've heard. But then I've heard the same as you, where it's like a bunch of like weird clowns.
Dude, it's like a bunch of weird clowns
But it's called
or something.
Cult?
And it's- Is
yeah,
it
and
like
it's
a
called
clown
Cult.
cult?
Yeah.
I
Like
don't
ICP?
know. All whoop, whoop.
I think it's supposed to be super familiar, super like in the same environment as Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, Eyes Wide.
Oh.
Oh, see, I love Eyes Wide Shut.
But
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know that they'll be
yeah.
able to do that,
You
though.
know, I know Megan is a fan of American Horror Story, but I'm not.
I can't.
But
They're cute.
but I do love Coven. But I watched the trailer for Cult, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? All their trailers are all cryptic. They're
Yeah.
all cryptic. But there was also a trailer for Jigsaw, the new Saw movie.
That's gonna be good.
I'm not like a huge like Saw fan. Like I'm not very familiar with like the story, but I do love the gore.
You'll love it anyways.
Hell,
We're all gonna love it.
Yeah, man. The gore in the Saw movies
So
is
creative.
what sells them, and I don't know. Like honestly, to be honest. I know I've seen the first one and I've seen some other ones.
definitely saw the
I
first
couldn't even
one.
tell you which sequels I've seen,
Yeah,
but the
me
fucking
either.
kill scenes are great though. Like there was a scene in the new Jigsaw trailer where there was like a silo full of sand and like these people were like stuck in the sand and then all these like saws and knives and shit were like
cool.
falling on them. Like you'd be fucked. Like there was no way of
seems
getting out
pretty
of that.
serious.
So that was pretty cool. There's also a new trailer for the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre called Leatherface.
I saw it,
And
yeah.
I watched the trailer, and I personally am not a giant Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan.
Yeah.
I do love the second one because I love Dennis Hopper, but I never got into Leatherface character, but I love that Stephen Dorff is in the new Leatherface because I love that he's like coming back into horror, you know, because he was in The Gate and I love The Gate, so that's fun. But also I'm so excited. They released the trailer for My Friend Dahmer.
And that dude
Oh,
looks so
yeah!
much like him. It's
And they're
creepy.
casting- what's his
fucking
name?
wait to fucking see that movie because I have the graphic novel by Durf Bachter.
Yeah.
Yes, that's his name. This guy, Durf, went to high school with Jeffrey Dahmer, and he
He was
the
like in his
graphic
circle
novel-
of friends. He was like one of his buddies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he like recounted like
I still have your copy, by the way. I read it. It's really good.
it's awesome. That graphic novel is so good because it's like written by a guy who fucking went to high school with him and like knew
he was
him.
his friend.
And it like, oh man, I can't fucking wait to see that movie. That movie's gonna be fucking great.
It was well cast as well. The guy who plays Jeffrey Dahmer looks
I'm looking it up. Oh,
just
Ross,
like him.
Ross Lynch.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
He looks just like him. But yeah, like that's gonna be fucking awesome.
Oh, he's got one of those families where all their names starts with R.
Oh.
Riker, Ryder, Rocky, Ryland.
That's too bad.
Those are funny. I like those families. They're funny.
Well, I'm pretty excited about
Anyway.
My Friend Dahmer. I love any movie that like depicts like a serial killer, and like I still haven't seen the O.J. Simpson show, and we were just talking about that recently. So I'm very excited to see this. So that's gonna
Like
be
it,
fucking awesome.
it won all the awards.
I know.
So many awards.
All right, well, we're wrapping up. Thank you for listening, and I hope you all love Hellraiser 3
Yes.
as much as we do.
Yes, indeed. And sorry it took us so long to get back into the swing of things. It's been a while since our last episode.
I know. Well, I'm a sucker, and I'm a student, and I spend most of my
I've been
time
out of the
doing
country
schoolwork.
for 2 weeks.
This
Yeah, Megan was
this
having
one
a
was in
bomb-ass
Portugal,
time.
almost getting arrested.
Drugs are bad, okay?
But yeah, anyways, thanks for listening, guys, and I hope you have a good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, yeah!
Come to
Daddy!
Oh, you didn't focus on that.